This is More Knowledge, More Wealth with your host, Gabriel Shahin. Gabriel is a certified financial planner and a registered investment advisor at Falcon Wealth Planning. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this broadcast and does not represent that the services or securities discussed are suitable for any investor. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the broadcast in the process of making a full informed investment decision. Now here's your host, Gabriel Shahin.
Good day, this is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth, here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. My job is to go over the knowledge you need to increase your wealth. Now, to the listener, you can always reach out to myself or any one of my colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can get this episode and any one of our previous episodes as well. And visit our Knowledge Center right there on our website. Sends you over to YouTube as well. We have so much fantastic content there, well over 1 million views in just over a year. And if you want to have us record anything on there for you, more information, send over a request at radio@falconwp.com. That's radio@falconwp.com. Now, I'm the president of Falcon Wealth Planning. We are a fee-only, non-commissioned, true fiduciary, folks, and we talk about all important topics of personal finance. That's where you are today, how retirement looks like, talk about taxes, investments, estate planning, insurance, folks, you name it. Anything that involves a dollar sign, we can help you with. And we are giving 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours of our time, folks, at no cost. And it doesn't matter where you're located, as we service nationwide, folks, where we have offices all over. Our phone number, 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. We would help and love to help relate this show to your specific situation. Folks, lots to go over today. As you can see, for those on a podcast here, I got my notes in front of me. I thought I would just share with you just kind of from one week to another. How we had that crazy overnight crisis going on with Japan, and we had so much things that we were worried about last week, and we discussed it. The things that were going off. You had the AI boom, you had NVIDIA tanking, a lot of tech companies tanking, tech sell-offs. You had the Feds not cutting rates, but most likely doing it in September, hoping for a non-emergency meeting. Imagine what that would do to the market. Japan, it all started there, down 20% instantly. You've had us also looking at Warren Buffett selling 50% of Apple, who looked really smart. And then you had still continuing war issues in Russia, Ukraine, and the Middle East. I mean, man, and I just kept talking about the markets and how they'll always recover. And I went over how this is something that we've seen time and time again. And no matter what, we've always recovered from a crash, a recession, and a depression. So there were signs that a recession's coming. How crazy is it from one news story to another news story? And current news story is, yes, we have recovered. You're seeing it. Sure, there's volatility. I get it. But man, you had Monday of this past week where the markets were absolutely crushing it. Dow up over 1%, S&P up almost 1.7%, and NASDAQ up 2.5%. I mean, my goodness, you had NVIDIA up over 6.5%. Tesla up almost 5.25%, and Apple up 1.72%. I mean, you had some of the big movers making some moves. It's just crazy how we went from one extreme of being doomsdayers to now saying, oh, things aren't going so bad. It's just funny how now all of a sudden people are wanting to get back and invest. Hey, how come you didn't sell and then buy? Or hey, how come you didn't buy and then sell? It's a long game, folks. Don't focus on short-term noise that's going on. That's the problem most people have. My recommendation to you is find a strategy, number one. Number two, find volatility levels that you're comfortable with so you don't freak out. If the strategy's in place where no matter what, you don't have to worry about a company going out of business because you're invested in global markets and you know that the markets have to go up over time. You know that in general, markets, indices do not go out of business. Companies go out of business, but not indices. If you put yourself in a situation where you can buy on the dips, sell on the gains, man, oh man, talk about your advisor's weight in gold. I mean, seriously, it's a win-win situation. But a lot of people don't do that. They get freaked out. It's crazy. And a lot of this stems from management. Most people hire managers and have managers because they need that people over them, motivating them, keeping them in their lanes, and most importantly, giving them goals to achieve. Now, in your personal life, you may have your own goals. On a professional side, well, somebody needs to give an engineer a project. You can't just tell them to go hunt for work. You know what I mean? An accountant needs jobs, needs something to do, or they're not going to do anything. Most of every job has that, which is why leadership and management is crucial. Forget your current employer. Focus on your household. There's normally a house boss there. It's either you or your spouse. If you're lucky, it could be your kids, but most likely it is not. It is you or your spouse. And you're comfortable submitting to that because you don't want to have to deal with it. You want to take your marching orders and execute. That is a perfect situation for most people. Now, management and leadership, depending on who's there at the household, will lead the family into financial success by saving well, shopping smartly, investing properly. Whether it is getting to a situation where you are maxing out your retirement accounts, your 401ks, your 403bs, your 457, your Roth IRAs, backdoors, knowing when to get financial help, knowing when to get a financial advisor, knowing when you should be able to communicate with other professionals, such as a tax planner, such as an estate attorney, such as maybe it's time when you get into trouble, you need to go into an attorney versus trying to just solve it yourself. These are situations, delicate situations, that I wish mapped every situation, every investment similarly. This is what I want to talk to you about right now. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth, here on every weekend. And we are talking about all important topics of personal finance. And today, I wanted to talk about management. And one of the worst management stories I've ever heard, probably in the past 3 to 5 years, was ex-CEO of Starbucks, Laxman Narasimhan. I'm pretty sure I slaughtered that name, so I apologize to Laxman. But since he took over, and if you look at the past 5 years of Starbucks, there has been a decline of 20% in the value of the corporation, which is a bit crazy to me, as in that 5-year period, so much has gone up during that time. You got to think, this is like 2020 to now, essentially. And so to be able to take a company and cause a decline in it, because quite frankly, when you look at just the lack of production, it is quite embarrassing. Now, I'll take it a step further. He's gone on record. Check this out here. Hear this out. He's gone on record for saying that he does not work past 6 p.m. and he gets annoyed, actually gets upset when people reach out to him after 6 p.m. That's kind of crazy to think if you think about it. What type of a leader, even just look at your family. When do you just check out and say, no, enough is enough? That rarely happens. What about your advisor? What if your accountant? What about your attorney? We're just like, no, I'm sorry. They turn it up. Are they doing that? Do you feel you have a true partner, or do you feel you're part of a transactional relationship? But it's crazy to think that a leader, right, especially when you have some stores still open. Look at the basic concept of where you're working. Stores sometimes are open till 8, 9, 10 plus o'clock at night. And you're over here saying, you don't call me past 6? Dude is making over $5 million a year. You pay somebody that type of money and you say, don't call me? That is madness. Quite frankly, stupidity. It's just crazy to me sometimes, these people, what they're even thinking. I don't understand it a bit. Outside of that Monday when they announced the Chipotle CEO was taking over the Starbucks CEO, the stock price went up 20%. If you take away that 20% increase, sure, over the past 5 years, the Starbucks has done nothing. It stayed flat. But that's just because of today, because of a CEO change, because they knew how bad their previous CEO was. Hell, he got massacred on CNBC when Jim Cramer was interviewing him. Probably the worst interview I've ever seen. This guy turns out to be a joke. But up until Friday of last week, which is August 9th, he ended up being, at that point, the company was negative 20% over a 5-year period. And I believe it was Tuesday, it came out where he is no longer CEO and they're hiring Brian Niccol, which, oh, by the way, in that same 5-year period, did 400 to 500% returns versus a negative 20% return. Oh, by the way, they're both retail. It's just kind of crazy to me when you look into this. I mean, and this, I guess where I'm going with this, folks, is please, surely we can agree. Management is important. So my question to you is, are you managing your situation? Like, I can go deeper into Chipotle versus Starbucks. I can go much deeper into that. But the core question is what are you doing of your financial situation? I mean, are you having leadership in your situation? Are you acting? Because now you could see from a CEO that says at Starbucks, don't talk to me after 6 p.m. Imagine that culture at that firm versus Chipotle for someone who hustled and bustled over there. And by the way, is probably worth $100+ million because, a lot of them get paid based on the stock price. Unlike this Laxman over at Starbucks, whose net worth is probably 10 to 20 million. And oh, by the way, lost billions upon billions upon billions of the valuation of Starbucks based on his poor management. So much so, the stock price went up 20% once they found out this schmuck was out the door. Insane. 20+%. It just blows my mind. And it just begs the question of what are you doing about your situation and what management do you have? Is it purely passive where your management is nothing? Well, that's crazy. That's like saying, no, I have a car, it's fine. I need no maintenance. And I don't even care if you drive a Tesla where you still think you have no maintenance. You still need tires. You still need to do core competencies such as charging the vehicle. But surely you cannot say that you can be 100% passive with all these changes going on in the markets. You have Fortune 100 companies making these changes. What are you doing about it? Folks, we're going to go on a quick break. We come back, we're going to talk about more about the markets and being proactive and ignoring more of this noise and finding more and more experience of what's on TV that was scaring the hell out of you. You're going to find out ways to overcome that with just a few examples of how crazy it really is. We'll be right back after a few words. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. That's on every weekend. We're going over all important topics of personal finance. We're going over retirement planning, making sure you're prepared for retirement, Social Security and strategies, real estate, taxes, avoiding them now and in the future, investments, reducing fees, commissions, and so on, insurance, and estate planning. Folks, we are offering a free financial assessment that you could take advantage of. We have offices all across Southern California, including the Inland Empire. Give us a call to take advantage. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website, falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short. Enjoy the show. We look forward to serving you. Welcome back, folks. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth, here on every weekend talking about all important topics of personal finance. And I spent the first segment just talking about management as a whole and taking a look at your situation, making the right decisions, because if you look at last week's, I guess 2 weeks ago, because this is a Saturday show, because last week, if you think about it, it was a great week in the market. Started off strong, I should say, but a lot of the recoveries from Starbucks and so on, with firing their CEO, bringing on somebody new, you can see management matters. When you look at last week, even though it was really basically only Monday, maybe Tuesday, where it really crashed 2 weeks ago when we found out all that drama that was going on overseas and it trickled in, people were freaked out. Heck, a lot of the sites crashed at that time. We were feeling terrible at that time. Now it's crazy. Like a week and a half later, we're feeling pretty good right now. Markets are almost back to where it was. And so I just tell you, that a lot of what you see on the TV is noise. And you have to take a look at your situation as, are you listening? Now, on one hand, you want to say, I hear you, but are you listening to it? I'll give you an example. Did you know that Jim Crazer's Mad Money show has strict affiliation ties where the producer of that show was the same producer as Jerry Springer? Did you know that? Jerry Springer, remember that crazy show? That was the same producers as Mad Money with Jim Cramer. I share this because if that ain't proof of pure entertainment, I don't know what is. You turn on the TV, and the TV's goal since the 90s, since news outlets have been given the criteria for ratings, and they care for ratings. That's why Fox News is number one. CNN's up there along with a bunch of others. But even then, it's their goal is to have you turn on the TV, and they're going to try to have you and piss you off as much as possible to do though. So I've been telling you about this time and time again. But if you would have freaked out with the news that was coming out Sunday night a couple of weeks ago and seeing the market crash and seeing that you couldn't even log into your Schwab or Fidelity or whatever account or Vanguard or Robinhood or E-Trade or quite frankly anything, this could have not just been now, but 4 years ago during the COVID crash. It could have been 2008 and the early 2000s during the tech crash. It hasn't changed in 20 years of technology. This always happens. It's kind of interesting because as an institution, we don't really deal with that, even though we work with Fidelity Schwab. We can still execute our trades. So you see these memes online saying, wow, it's always the retail investors that turn out to be the loser. Well, yeah, I can see that because you're the ones that are logging on being crazy. You're the ones that are selling. You should be buying when this happens. This is my point of why management change is sometimes needed. Is your advisor, are you being proactive? Are you being explained what happens when the markets go down? My answer or my comment to that is you're probably not, or you wouldn't be freaking out trying to log onto your Fidelity or Schwab. Hell, quite frankly, why would you be wanting to go into your account just to see that you lost money? That's crazy to me. That's like recording your own dentistry so you can rewatch the image of the dentistry or the surgery. Why would you want to do that? You know it's going to get the job done. The only time you do is if you're a DIYer and you really don't know what you're doing. You think, oh, I'm going to buy VOO, SPY, BTI, whatever all those indices are and just let it ride. S&P 500 is the way to go. I'm waiting for my next dividend check. Folks, it's more than that. That's one indice. You're focusing what? Just on large cap USA? Being diversified is going to be key, and staying on top of that where you're able to reallocate, to rebalance the tax loss harvest, to convert, taking advantage of core strategies and competencies is more than just buying one stock. And quite frankly, sometimes it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, and I see it all far too often. You can look at it as simple as your household, as simple as your portfolio, as simple as your professionals, and as simple as certain companies that need leadership change. It can be the company that you're working for or the companies that we hear about, Starbucks and Chipotle, which had some big management changes. Hell, Wells Fargo a few years back had some crazy management changes at CEO because they were ripping off and taking advantage of all of their, not all, but it seemed like all with the billions upon billions of dollars that they kept getting sued and troubled on. Terrible culture, if you ask me. So yet again, you got to ask yourself, is your current way of investing, is your current way of doing business, is your current way of having a strategy in place in your portfolio working out for you? Or did you freak out 2 weeks ago and just for this week to be okay, and oh, by the way, you did nothing throughout that whole time? That is my question to you. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. You're on every weekend talking about all important topics of personal finance. And today I was just talking about the basic concepts of managing your portfolio. And I compared it to the poor management that Starbucks had with their previous Laxman CEO. And how the proven success of Chipotle CEO, who, oh, by the way, took over at about $15 a share and ended with over $60 a share. And oh, keep in mind that their stock price dropped by about 7% because that was a fantastic leader. So it's just interesting to me when you see one massive behemoth company that managed to lose over a 5-year period 20%, where another company was up 400 to 500% in that same time frame. Man, isn't leadership important? And oh, by the way, a category that's growing. People drink coffee every day. You don't go to Chipotle every day. And for them to decline in revenues, that means people are like strategically saying, I don't want to buy from you, is crazy. And I know I have sister-in-laws, my own sister, that goes to Starbucks every single day. And as a financial planner, I'm like, you're absolutely crazy. That's $5 to $10 every single day, 365 days a year. That's like $2,000 plus of coffee. I think I probably spend, I'm going to guess, I don't know, maybe 20 cents a cup every single day. You know what I mean? That's $100 a year max. Listen, it's a preference. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying you found a way to mess up that business model. But this is the thing that people do often. Just like they overreacted 2 weeks ago and they're now super excited, want to put more money in now. It's staying on course. This is why we're offering a free financial assessment, to make sure you're in a situation and actually tell you how you should be being proactive on your portfolio versus reactive, where people want to sell when the markets are dropping when they should be buying. And now look, markets at all-time highs where other people are close to all-time highs, or at least getting a lot higher, and now they want to buy versus sell and take their profits. You got almost a 10% swing in a week. This is the type of stuff that drives me crazy, where people think just because they're smart, they know how to execute. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you know how to do the job. Experience matters. You probably see this with young bucks at your current work. They talk well, they have the brain, got some knowledge, they want to work hard, but they just can't execute. They think they can. They think they can relate. They think they have all the tools. But there's more to it than just having the brain, thinking you know how to talk. There's pieces of relatability. There's experience levels where how do you approach a situation depending on the moment of time of new information and news that's coming out. There's also a light of depending on the culture you're talking to, the company you're talking to. How do you approach them differently? Not everybody is the same. How about just your temperament of just communication, your mannerisms? That could be rubbing people the wrong way. It's the same concept with trying to tell you to chill and calm down. That's why psychiatrists get paid a lot of money, because they have mastered the art of knowing how to communicate with somebody. Asking a question they already know the answers to, so you can come up with the conclusion yourself. Would you rather have somebody tell you what to do, or somebody to help you find it for yourself so it's your idea? When it's your idea, you execute better versus somebody telling you what to do. This is why I recommend always having a partner. Whether it's a partner at home, it could be a significant other, whether it's a sibling, whether it's just a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's a church member, a golf member, a coworker, whoever it is, having a partner where you could just communicate with, calm you down. And even then, what's the harm of talking to a financial professional, especially if they're fee only? Not a commission-based advisor. A commission-based advisor is going to try to sell you things over and over and over again, as much as they can. We're talking about a fee-only advisor that makes no commissions of any kind, that is always doing what's in your best interest, 100% of the time. I call them a true fiduciary. There's people that say they're fiduciaries. Why? Because they got a CFP? No, but they have an employer that's telling them they got to sell you stuff. You have to sell that stuff or they will lose their job. So how are they a fiduciary then? They have to make this much in commissions, or they lose their job, or they don't get paid. Well, they got to get paid. They're not doing it for free, surely, right? We can agree on that. Choose your partners well, right? You choose your spouse or partner or significant other well, right? Who you want to hang out with in the family well. Coworkers, golf buddies, religious people that you hang around with, you choose those carefully. Why not choose your financial professional carefully? And again, this is why we want to offer 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours of our time, folks, at no cost. Give us a call. We would love to help. Our phone number is 855-963-2525. 26. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can help. Just put an inquiry right there where we can reach out to you and help you with your situation, because we see it all far too often, folks. But key examples of Starbucks' failure of a CEO, of Laxman, and Chipotle's successful CEO in Brian Niccol can tell you why it's so important to put a proper team in place for you, right? You played maybe sports before. It's having that good teammate that got your back. It will do whatever it takes to win. And more importantly, puts you first. That won't make you look bad just to make themselves look good. Imagine designing a team where that's always the case. Now, that's how it normally is in the sports world. Sure, on professionals, some people care about themselves to get paid and a new contract. But it's not always like that. Imagine having the incentive where everybody's on the same team, kind of like gold men's basketball winning. Everybody wanted the same thing. They didn't get paid any extra for that. They wanted to represent our country and win gold, and they did. That's when you know everybody's working on the same team. Folks, that was a fast show. I want to thank you for tuning in with us this weekend. You could always reach out to myself or any one of my colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you get this episode, any one of our previous episodes as well. And visit our Knowledge Center. It's fantastic. We have many videos over there. We have well over 1 million views. Give us a buzz. We'd love to help any one of myself or my colleagues, folks. And if you want more content on there, or if you have a question you want me to answer on the show, send it to radio@falconwp.com. That's radio@falconwp.com. Folks, I want you to have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week, and God bless.